Kia ora, my name is Trish Richardson. I'm the head of the Scholarships Office here at AUT, and I'll share some information and tips about scholarships and research funding with you today. So we're going to think a little bit about what impact funding or the lack of it might have on your research journey. We all have family commitments, employment commitments, as well as trying to complete our study endeavours. There are various types of funding available. Some might be for fees only, some will provide an allowance to support your living costs, others might be for travel to a conference or other research expenses. You can apply for more than one funding opportunity or scholarship, so don't just rely on the outcome of one application. If you find various scholarships or funding you might be eligible for, apply for them all. If you are successful in more than one application, you may not be able to hold more than one. It will depend on the conditions of the particular scholarship or funding you've applied for. Some sources of funding information. For supervisors, if your research student asks you for assistance to obtain funding, what might you do for them? You could possibly connect them to some of your industry networks who might have an interest in their research. There might be some faculty funding or some supervisor funding or within your own research funding that you might be able to assist them. But certainly one thing you can do, if there's a reference required for their scholarship application, you can provide the reference and support them in that way. Other advice you might give them would be to talk to our office, talk to the University Research Office, and just ask fellow students about any contacts they might have. There are various sources of information about funding, and I will cover those soon. One that is available to supervisors is research elements, and I'll talk about that a bit later too. So sources of information about scholarships are other supervisors, academics and other students and your faculties. The AUT Scholarships database, which is available through our website. You can do Google searches, might be around your topic of research, and add the word scholarships and see if anything comes up. Research Professional, which is accessible to AUT staff, and supervisors could assist students to access information there about funding, or the Faculty Postgraduate Office can help. Tuia, there's a funding opportunities calendar on Tuia that you can look at. The Give Me database is a free searchable scholarship database with New Zealand nationwide scholarships. You can access that from our AUT Scholarships database homepage as well, and it's free for AUT students to access if you create a login to the Give Me site with your autuni.ac.nz email address. Universities New Zealand also have quite a few masters and doctoral scholarships available. And just think about the industry where your research might sit. Is there anyone in an industry sector that might be interested in your research and perhaps have some discretionary funding to support you? So Research Professional I've touched on before in the list of funding sources. AUT subscribes to Research Professional. Staff have access, so if you do have a staff account, then you should be able to access it as well. And that has a searchable database. You can look for funding and other things in. I'm not over familiar with it, but you can have a look at it and perhaps seek help from your supervisor or faculty postgraduate office. The AUT Scholarships database, this is the home page, and as you can see in this section, there's a list of links, and the top one is to the scholarships database. There's also the third item there, which is doctoral scholarships funded by AUT, and you can get full information on those there. There are a few scholarships at AUT for postgraduate and research endeavours. So there's the Postgraduate Research Scholarship, which is for honours and master's study, AUT Doctoral Scholarships, which are for your PhD research, Summer Research Scholarships, those are particularly aimed to third year or beginning master's students to give them some exposure to research. And there are AUT Doctoral Submission Scholarships, which are by nomination by the school or faculty if a student is within 6 months of submitting their thesis. So AUT Postgraduate Scholarships, the doctoral scholarships are our main research scholarships. There's an AUT Vice-Chancellor's Doctoral Scholarship. If you've completed your master's or honours degree that's taking you into the PhD at a New Zealand tertiary institution, you could be eligible for the AUT Vice-Chancellor's Doctoral Scholarship, where you've achieved a GPA of 8 or above, or if you're Maori or Pacific, a GPA of 7.5 or above. For the AUT Doctoral Scholarships, there are 3 rounds per year. These are contestable rounds open to all applicants, New Zealand citizens or international students or New Zealand permanent residents. The application portal opens 1 month prior to the closing date. Some advice for students around applying for scholarships. Keep an up-to-date resume. This helps you to quickly refer back to achievements you've made, perhaps seminars or conferences you've been involved in, and different other activities that could be relevant to your scholarship activity or application. When applying for scholarships, and they will very often require references, and in almost all instances would need transcripts. So have those ready, your transcripts, download your official copies and have them ready to upload to an application portal, and let your referees know well in advance that you're going to ask them to provide a letter of support for your scholarship application. Don't leave it till the last minute. And participate in other activities outside of just your studies. Often scholarship funders are looking for a candidate who is doing more than just focusing on their study. They might have a community mission that they're looking for, involvement in volunteer work, and what other things you might be giving back to your communities. What publications have you made? Anything else you're doing outside of study? Be aware of the deadlines for your scholarship or funding applications. Start preparing well ahead. Don't leave it to the last 24 or 48 hours. Aside from the fact that this will mean your application will be difficult to complete, it won't be the best that you can put forward. And if there's some sort of technology issue at the last minute, that won't be an exception to allow a late application. Most scholarship applications are via online portals, so again, preparing ahead is important. Be prepared with the required information to upload, and if you've got it already well in advance, any last-minute technology issues will not prevent your application from being submitted if you have it ready and submitted to a couple of days before. Be accurate and thorough. Proofread your application for content, grammar and spelling. Conditions of scholarships or funding. Usually students who are in receipt of a scholarship, in fact, essentially, you must be fully enrolled before any payment can be made. Progress reports. Our own doctoral scholarships require that 6 monthly progress reports are required, and that the PhD student transitions from provisional to full registration within the 12-month period that is expected. There might be some small leeway on that, but it shouldn't be excessive. Most scholarships are for full-time study, and that is expected to be at least 35 hours per week. And usually there's a condition that restricts the amount of employment a scholarship student can take while on a full scholarship. And at the moment that is normally no more than 20 hours per week on average. Where a student is receiving a scholarship stipend, that's a living allowance, they must be resident in New Zealand while they're on the scholarship. Short periods to go overseas to complete data research are allowed, but there must be a plan in place for that data research to occur, or for if it's going to be longer than 3 months, then an agreement with the supervisor as to what the data research entails and the supervision program while offshore. Once the student's ready to submit their thesis, if that's before the end of the tenure of the funding, then they must let our office know. So something happens while you're doing your research, which means you have to put it on hold for a while. You can apply for a leave of absence to the Graduate Research School. If you're on a scholarship, and particularly if you're on a full scholarship with a living allowance, you must advise the scholarships office immediately of any leave, or if you're going to withdraw from full-time study. And our office and the faculty associate dean approve that period of leave. There is an allowance for up to 4 weeks annual leave, which doesn't require a leave of absence to be taken. And if a scholar takes a leave of absence, then if they've already received some stipend allowance for part of that period of leave of absence, so they might have already received a month's payment and then they've taken the leave of absence from that month, then that is usually adjusted at the other end of the period of the leave of absence, and the final date of tenure of the scholarship is likewise extended out to reflect the period of leave of absence. So I hope this video has been of help to you, and if you have any questions you can contact the scholarships office at AUT. Thank you.